Welcome everybody to this edition of Attention Talk Video. I'm your host, ADHD and Attention Coach Jeff Copper, and we're here today with Diane Dempster of Impact ADHD. Diane, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here, Jeff.
I like this topic today is dealing with your spouse who has ADHD that maybe is in denial.
Yeah, it's an important one because a lot of times I work with parents who have kids with ADHD and ADD, and the challenge we have is that one parent gets it and they're trying to put changes in place, and the other parent, who's usually a lot of times it's the ADHD one, says, oh, this isn't a problem, I did it fine, I don't even believe in this sort of thing, and it makes it really difficult. And so what I find is helpful, and I happen to be a non-ADD partner in a co-parenting situation, and it's hard because you want them to get support, you want them to get help for their own ADHD, and either they don't feel like it's the right thing for them, or a lot of times they've spent so much of their life being wrong that admitting or dealing with a diagnosis of ADHD is something that they're just not ready for. The reality is, what I really think is most important is to work with your partner on what the challenges are. So it's not so much, do you have ADD, do you not have ADD, does my child have ADHD or not, but really focus on what are the challenges that we're facing when we're trying to parent together, when we're having a relationship, whether it's I need you to follow through more, I need you to handle a situation more consistently, but really deal with the problems and the solutions rather than so much focusing on the diagnosis.
So much of the coaching paradigm is the person is created naturally resourceful and whole. In other words, they're really not broken. And commonly, people will call me wanting coaching, and I say, well, I'm here to coach the individual, not the label. And I pause here for a second because a couple years ago, back in the DSM-4 days, it's changed now, but there used to be inattentive ADHD, hyperactive ADHD, and combined. And we did a radio show one time with Dan Pruitt. And you have to add 6 symptoms of 9 and hyperactive, same with inattentive, and 12 of 18. Anyway, he did the math. Every possible combination, and there was over 18,000 different combinations of symptoms that could get you the diagnosis of ADHD, and it didn't take into consideration intensity or comorbid conditions. And so tongue-in-cheek is, we were on the show, so which version do you have? 10,467. Right. And I use that for fun because it's so much about treating the individual, not the label. And I think that's really kind of what you're saying, is focus on what you have at hand and moving forward, and not so much dwelling on it.
Well, and not only that, but I think my kids, and I'm the non-ADDer in my family, and my kids constantly are accusing me of having ADD, but they do because middle-aged, menopausal, overwhelmed mom looks a lot like an ADDer, right? And so it's really about the challenges at hand, it's really about the situation, and about working together to solve problems.
And so that notion of just taking a look at what you have there, what's possible for us if we did it this way, it's a very futuristic type thing, and be listening for them to figure out how they can actually help you get there too, because sometimes they might have a real clever idea themselves if you put them in that position of asking them what would work.
Right. And I think even when you're working with a child, if you can help your spouse, so let's say your spouse says, oh no, my child doesn't have ADHD, if you can focus in on the challenges, our kid's having a hard time sitting still, or our child is having a hard time following instructions, that can really shift the energy as well.
So Diane, great tips. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you very much.
Glad to be here, Jeff. Thanks.
Take care, everybody.